Welcome back. Today, we need to talk about that incredible match last night. It was absolute tactical perfection on the field. That is what makes this game so special.
Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're bypassing the bright stadium lights and stepping straight into the cold, concrete shadows of the beautiful game. We're going to uncover the massive, multi-million-dollar racketeering network that literally brought the sport's global elite to their knees. If you love football, the sheer scale of the corruption we're about to dive into will absolutely change the way you look at it forever. So let's get right into it.
Picture this. It's dawn at a luxurious, incredibly serene Swiss hotel. The date is May 27, 2015. Out of nowhere, that tranquility is completely shattered. The FBI and Swiss authorities burst in, executing a highly coordinated and entirely unprecedented raid. Their targets? Some of the most powerful global football executives on the planet, all conveniently gathered in one place ahead of their annual Congress.
14. That is the staggering number of high-ranking FIFA officials and corporate executives who were indicted in a single morning. Just think about that. That one number sent absolute shockwaves through the 65th FIFA Congress happening right down the road. Decades of seemingly untouchable power were just unraveling in a matter of hours.
And the scale of the allegations? Absolutely massive. U.S. prosecutors laid out an estimated $150 million in bribes. These weren't small favors, these were massive payouts tied directly to highly lucrative media and marketing rights for major tournaments across the Americas. We're talking Copa America, World Cup qualifiers, the CONCACAF Gold Cup. The money was just flowing like a river.
Now, the legal strategy the U.S. Department of Justice used here is fascinating. They didn't just slap these executives with simple bribery charges. Nope. They brought in the RICO Act. This is the exact same federal law historically designed to combat organized crime and mafia syndicates. They were literally prosecuting the governing body of world football as if it were a mob family.
Alongside RICO, prosecutors also weaponized something called the Travel Act. And this is crucial because it gave the U.S. incredible reach. Under this act, even a tiny tangential connection to America triggers severe federal jurisdiction. So, say a representative from a Bahamian bank flies into New York for a day just to pick up a $250,000 bribe check to take back. Well, that single trip, that makes the whole thing a U.S. federal case.
So you might be wondering, how did the FBI actually breach this incredibly secretive, tight-knit world in the first place? Well, enter Chuck Blazer. Blazer was a powerful American soccer executive, but he was forced into living a highly dangerous double life. Back in 2010, the IRS confronted him with evidence of massive unpaid personal taxes. Just like that, the FBI had the ultimate insider.
Blazer's cooperation reads straight out of an espionage thriller. Tracing his timeline, after being confronted, he quietly pleads guilty to 10 serious charges in 2013, including wire fraud and money laundering. But before that plea even became public knowledge, he was put to work. Get this, during the 2012 Summer Olympics, Blazer actually wore a concealed recording device to capture his colleagues' shadowy boardroom deals right on tape. Incredible!
The bribes captured in these investigations were just staggering, and they span the globe. We have an alleged $40 million bribe connected to an unnamed sports equipment company, which is widely identified as Nike, for the Brazilian national team's uniform sponsorship. Then there's a highly controversial $10 million payment tied to the 2010 South Africa World Cup, plus a $2 million so-called disloyal payment involving Michel Platini.
And tracking where that money actually ended up reveals a pretty shocking reality. Take a chunk of that $10 million payment from South Africa, for example. It was supposed to go toward Caribbean football development. Instead, over $1.5 million was allegedly diverted by CONCACAF head Jack Warner. What did he use it for? Paying off his personal loans, clearing his credit cards, and insanely enough, even helping fund a supermarket chain in Trinidad. You really can't make this stuff up.
Section 1. The Slow Rot. The 1993 Marseille Precedent.
Now, the 2015 raids were a huge shock, but they definitely didn't happen in a vacuum. To really understand this systemic rot, we have to look back at an era when corruption was mainly making headlines at the club level. Let's look at May 1993. The French club Marseille secured a historic 1-0 victory over AC Milan in the Champions League final. But that glory was instantly annihilated. It came out that club president Bernard Tapie had literally paid players from Valenciennes to lose a domestic league match so Marseille could stay fresh for Europe. The fallout was massive. Marseille was stripped of their domestic title, relegated to Division II, and completely banned from European football.
But the cheating at Marseille wasn't just financial. According to multiple players, it went straight into their veins. Players like Marcel Desailly and Tony Cascarino later alleged widespread, club-mandated doping.
According to one account, there was literally a blackboard in the locker room reading injections for everyone. Even Bernard Tapie himself later admitted that some players took Captagon, which is a very powerful stimulant.
Just listen to this haunting quote from Marseille midfielder Jean-Jacques Oidely regarding that '93 final against Milan. He said, "All of them took a series of injections, except Rudi Völler." It's chilling, right? It totally exposes the terrifying lengths teams went to for a competitive edge. And it set a dark, win-at-all-costs precedent, a culture that clearly infected the sport's global governance over the following decades.
Section 2. The tip of the iceberg. The fall of FIFA.
With that history of club-level corruption fresh in our minds, let's fast forward back to 2015. This is where the culture of backroom deals finally caught up with the completely untouchable top brass of international football. The fallout from those FBI hotel raids was incredibly rapid. On May 29th, despite the arrest just days earlier, Sepp Blatter actually won re-election. Crazy, right? But by June 2nd, the pressure was just too immense, and he announced his resignation. By September, the Swiss launched a criminal inquiry into his management, and by December, both Blatter and UEFA President Michel Platini were slapped with massive 8-year bans from the sport.
The duality of Blatter's era is pretty stark. On one hand, his 17-year reign was defined by unprecedented global commercial expansion and record-breaking revenue for the sport. But on the other hand, the immediate aftermath was absolute disgrace. We're talking suspensions, relentless Swiss criminal investigations into money laundering, and the spectacular firing of his right-hand man, Secretary General Jérôme Valquy, over alleged World Cup ticket scalping schemes.
And this corruption wasn't just a few rogue individuals. Major sports marketing and media entities were deeply embedded in the fraud. Track Sports USA pleaded guilty. US Imagina pleaded guilty to wire fraud conspiracies, ultimately paying over $24 million in criminal fines, forfeitures, and restitution. The rot was completely institutionalized across the corporate landscape that supported the sport.
As we wrap up this explainer, we're left with a pretty chilling question. When you look back at the sheer scale of the indictments, from the locker room doping in 1993 all the way to the millions in laundered bribes across the Americas in 2015, it really forces us to ask, were the historic matches we cheered for actually decided on the pitch, or were they decided in a dark boardroom? Keep that in mind the next time you watch your favorite team walk out of the tunnel. Thanks for joining me, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.
That is all for today. We need to talk about that incredible match last night. It was absolute tactical perfection on the field. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel.